Hi everyone. So in the last video, I had asked you how many of you would want me to solve a live RC in front of you so that you can see what is the mindset or the process of elimination that I keep talking about, or what is that rational building that is used in order to solve the RCs. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what goes through my mind while I go through the RC and when I solve the questions. So hope that this video gives you a couple of insights. So the way it is going to work is I'm going to write down the RC in front of you and we will move paragraph by paragraph because that is how I would actually solve an RC as well. So an RC is generally made of 6 to 7 paragraphs and the entire passage can actually be summarized in just 5 or 6 phrases. So we are going to first paraphrase each para and after that we'll jump onto the questions and solve them using the elimination method. So let's start off with this video. Okay, so here is the first paragraph and now I'm going to start reading it. You can also read it side by side or probably pause the video before me and read it, but I'm going to show you how I would have read it. So the word anarchy comes from Greek anarchia, meaning contrary to authority or without a ruler, and was used in a derogatory sense until 1840 when it was adopted by someone to describe his political and social ideology. Okay, that someone argued that organization without government was both possible and desirable. In the evolution of political ideas, anarchism has been seen as an ultimate projection of both liberalism and socialism, and the differing strands of anarchist thought can be related to their emphasis on one or other of these. Okay, I could not understand the last phrase, the last part of this paragraph, but other than that, I've understood broadly what were the origins of anarchy and how it is considered by one particular person as both possible and desirable, and has some strands related to liberalism and socialism. Let's move on. So this is something that I wanted to point out here. First of all, you don't have to remember any facts or figures. For example, the 1840 or the name that has been given, I would not really memorize it. I would just call it as someone because I don't really need to remember. I can always come back and look at it. I just need to phrase into simpler words as to what this para is all about, and that I've already done. So let's move on. Historically, anarchism arose not only as an explanation of the gulf between the rich and poor in any community and of the reason why the poor have been obligated to fight for their share of a common inheritance, but as a radical answer to the question what went wrong that followed the ultimate outcome of French Revolution. Okay, so I'll complete after this. It had ended not only with a reign of terror and the emergence of a newly rich ruling class, but with a new adored emperor, someone strutting through his conquered territories. Okay, so the point I wanted to bring in here is that sometimes some words come into an RC which need to be carefully understood. For example, here, if you read the first line again, historically anarchism arose not only as an explanation. Not only as an explanation means not only because of this, but there is going to be another reason which is going to come up. So not only because of the difference between rich and poor in a community and of the reason. So there's another reason. So this paragraph is mentioning one reason, then two reasons, but the radical answer to this question, the most important reason was this, but then there are two other reasons that are being mentioned. So this gives the reason as to why anarchism arose into the society. Okay, let's move ahead. The anarchists and their precursors were unique on the political left in affirming that workers and peasants, grasping the chance that arose to bring an end to centuries of exploitation and tyranny, were inevitably betrayed by the new class of politicians whose first priority was to re-establish a centralized state power. After every revolutionary uprising, usually one at a heavy cost of ordinary population, the new rulers had no hesitation in applying violence and terror, a secret police and a professional army to maintain their control. Okay, so basically every kind of anarchists believe that there is a central state power that they oppose because they generally use violence or terror against the common people. That's what this paragraph is mostly saying. We'll move on to the next paragraph. So till now you would have understood that I'm paraphrasing each para. Okay. The next paragraph says, for anarchists, the state itself is the enemy, and they've applied the same interpretation to the outcome of every revolution of 19th and 20th century. This is not merely because every state keeps a watchful and sometimes punitive eyes on its descendants, but because every state protects the privileges of the powerful. This is simple. The common thread between all anarchists is that there's a state which protects the powerful and their privileges, and hence is the enemy of the entire like community of anarchists. So this is the central theme. The mainstream of anarchist propaganda for more than a century has been anarchist communism, which argues that property in land, natural resources, and the means of production should be held in mutual control by the local communities, federating for innumerable joint purposes with other communes. It differs from state socialism in opposing the concept of any central authority. Okay, I'll have to probably read it again, but the first part I understood that anarchist communism basically states that you should keep the land, natural resources, and everything else in a mutual control by local community. But it differs from state socialism in opposing the concept of any central authority. Oh, so it's different from state socialism in the sense that there should be no central authority. Okay, got it. Some anarchists prefer to distinguish between anarchist communism and collectivist communism in order to stress obviously desirable freedom of an individual or family to possess the resources needed for the living while not implying the right to own the resources needed by others. Okay, so you only need the resources for yourself, and it's okay to possess them, but you don't need to own the resources needed by others. You don't need to have that right. So that's how these two differ between each other. Got it. So that's the paraphrasing of this particular para. Last para, there are unsurprisingly several traditions of individualist anarchism, one of them deriving from conscious egoism of the German someone, and another from a remarkable series of 19th century American figures who argued that in protecting our own autonomy and associating with others for common advantages, we are promoting the good of all. Okay. These thinkers differed from the free market liberals in their absolute mistrust of American capitalism and in their emphasis on mutualism. Okay, so they basically did not trust American capitalism and they emphasized on mutualism. Okay, so if I had to summarize the last paragraph, they are saying that some people, they're referring to some people and saying that 19th century American figures, they argued that you have to protect your own autonomy and associate with the common advantages and promoting the good for all. So we have to basically come together and protect our own autonomy as well, but at the same time, think of the common good and the mutual like togetherness or community building as well, and that's how they differed from free market liberals. So both of them, the free market liberals as well as the anarchists that they are being referred to, they did not trust the American capitalism, but the thing that was true about the anarchists but which was not in the free market liberals was the emphasis on mutualism. So that's what this para says. So now we have read the paragraphs. Now we'll move on to the questions part. So this is just roughly how I would read a paragraph. I would generally read the paragraph silently, but in order to tell you how I was reading it, I made this video like that. So let's continue. Okay, so coming on to question number one, which one of the following best expresses the similarity between American individualist anarchists and the free market liberals, as well as the difference between the former and the latter? Oh, we just did this in the last paragraph that we read, that both of them believed that there should be individual autonomy, but then the difference was that mutualism existed with the anarchists but not with the free market liberals. I think that was the answer. So let's see which option matches. Both reject regulatory power of the state, but the former favor a people state while the latter favor state intervention in markets. No. Both prioritize individual autonomy, but the former also emphasizes on mutual dependence while the latter does not do so. So B option is the correct option clearly because this is exactly what was the meaning of the last paragraph, and there is nothing extra needed here. Like I don't even need to go through option C or D, but even if I had to, in order to eliminate those options, let's see which word or which sentence makes them ineligible to be the correct answer. Both are sophisticated arguments for capitalism, but the former argue for a morally upright capitalism, while the latter argue the market is only morality. Morality was not even into play anywhere. Both are founded on the moral principles of altruism, but the latter conceive of the market as to. So, this is also wrong because altruism was not mentioned. What you would notice is that even though the paragraphs seem to be very difficult in reading, the answers or the options are very clear. Like I could just tell the answer to the question without even reading the options, and the options were not very close as well. So option B should be the correct answer over here. Let's move on to the second question. The author makes all of the following arguments in the passage except, so this is definitely an elimination question. Individualist anarchism is actually constituted of many streams, all of which focus on the autonomy of the individual. Okay. The popular perception of anarchism as an espousing lawlessness and violence comes from a mainstream mistrust of collectivism. Okay. For anarchists, the state is the enemy because all states apply violence or a terror to maintain their control. This is definitely right. This is there. The failure of the French Revolution was because of its betrayal by the new class of politicians who emerged from it. Okay. So I definitely know that C is an option which is true. Now, reading the first one again, individualist anarchism is actually constituted of many streams, all of which focus on the autonomy of the individual. This is right because I mentioned at one point of time that all the anarchists believe in the autonomy of individuals. Some, however, do not believe on the collectivism part, but this is correct. So A and C are there. Now B and D are left. The popular perception of anarchism as espousing lawlessness and violence comes from a mainstream mistrust of collectivism. No, it's a mistrust of capitalism and not a mistrust of collectivism. So option B seems to be wrong because of collectivism word. But option D, the failure of French Revolution was because of its betrayal by the new class of politicians from who emerged from it. Remember those three reasons that were mentioned. So the third reason was this only, that the new class of politicians who emerged from it to control and were like oppressing the common peasants and the common people. So this seems to be right. So option B should be the correct answer in this case using the elimination method. Moving on to the third question. According to the passage, what is the one idea that is common to all forms of anarchism? Okay, there is no idea common to all forms of anarchism. That is why it is anarchic. This was not mentioned. They all focus on the primary power of the individual. This is correct. This was mentioned as well, but let's read it again. They all derive from the work of so and so person. No, that's not true because we read in the last paragraph as well. That's not true. They are all opposed to the centralization of power in the state. So D also seems to be correct. So A and C are definitely not correct, but in B and C, they all focus on the primacy of the power of the individual, which is right. They are all opposed to the centralization of power in the state. So I believe in these two options, option D should be the correct one, and option B is wrong because the power of individual is not necessary. There was a mention of collectivism as well, while in option D they all oppose the centralization of power in the state. This was definitely mentioned because state turned out to be the enemy in that case. So option B is the wrong one here. Option D is the correct option. Moving on to the fourth one, the author believes that the new ruling class of politicians betrayed the principles of the French Revolution. Hey, but this was the option in another question. So the failure of French Revolution was because of the betrayal by the new class of politicians who emerged from it. The author believes that the new ruling class of politicians betrayed the principles of the French Revolution. See, if you would have gone through this passage, option number D could have been proven as true in second question if you would have read question number 4 because it's mentioned in the line in the language of in the main sentence of question 4 itself. Okay, so reading it again, the author believes that the new ruling class of politicians betrayed the principles of French Revolution, but does not specify in what way. In the context of the passage, which statement below is the likeliest explanation of that betrayal? Okay, so he's just asking that it's not been mentioned, but what could be it? Why did the French Revolution how did the class of rulers that emerged from it betrayed the principles? The new ruling class rose to power on the strength of the workers' revolutionary anger, but then turned to oppress that very class. That's actually very true. They said that they rose because of that power, but I mean that's not mentioned. That's what French Revolution was all about. But then they oppressed that very class. That's true. That's been mentioned in the passage. The anarchists did not want a ruling class, but were not politically strong enough to stop them. No mention of this. The new ruling class was constituted mainly of anarchists who were against the destructive impact of the revolution on the market. This was not mentioned in the paragraph. The new ruling class struck a deal with the old ruling class to share power between them. No mention again. So there is definitely no mention of point B, C, and D in the passage, but there is a hint of option A in the passage. So the passage mentions what went wrong with the something of that sort. Yeah. So, um, but as a radical answer to the question, what went wrong that followed the ultimate outcome of the French Revolution, it had ended not only with the reign of terror and the emergence of a newly rich ruling caste, but with a new adored emperor strutting through his conquered territories. The anarchists and their precursors were unique on the political left in affirming that workers and peasants, grasping the chance that arose to bring an end to the centuries of exploitation and tyranny, were inevitably betrayed by the new class of politicians. After every revolutionary uprising, usually won at a heavy cost of ordinary population, the new rulers had no hesitation in applying violence and terror. So basically, people who were costed in one way or the other, be it like they were murdered or they helped and yet they were murdered, there was still a lot of violence which was applied to oppress the very same people. So that fits the option A. So that would be my understanding. The new ruling class rose to power on the strength of the workers' revolutionary anger, but then turned to oppress that very class. So even though this hasn't been directly mentioned, there's a hint to it, which is why this should be the right answer. The last question: of the following sets of concepts, identify the set that is conceptually closest to the concerns of the passage. Okay, so anarchism, betrayal, power, and state. Revolution, state, strike, or egoism. So B is definitely wrong. Revolutionary. Revolution, state, protection, liberals. Definitely wrong. So anarchism is definitely a big theme. So option A or D, one of them should be correct. Anarchism, state, individual, and freedom. So option D seems to be more true because it's not so much about power or about state, it's more so about the individual and the freedom. Or even if they would have added collectivism in there, I would have marked the option correct in that case as well. So D seems to be the right answer. That's how the different aspects are being touched upon. So, this is how I would have solved this passage. Now, let me be very honest over here. When I read the passage, I got 4 out of 5 questions as correct. While I'm solving this in front of you, I've already read this passage once before making this video and I got 4 out of 5 questions right. I missed out on the third one, I guess. Let me see again. Yes, so the third one, because I was not sure between option B or D, but I got all of the other ones correct in the first attempt of reading it. There are two key takeaways that I would suggest. First is that if your concentration level while reading an RC is great, if you are able to understand and paraphrase every single paragraph, then you would stand in a better position to solve the passage faster. I can make another video on how to improve your concentration level, but that's going to be a separate topic. The second takeaway I would say is to use elimination method and understand which word renders the option incorrect. For example, in case of option number no, in case of question number 2, in which I had to pick up which of the following arguments is wrong. In that, we eliminated option number B because of the word collectivism. If it would have been capitalism, it might have been the right answer. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that there are small phrases, sentences, words which are given in each option which render the option to be incorrect. You have to find out what those words are so that you are able to arrive at the correct option correctly. Initially, you can do it on pen and paper, but then later you will start doing it mentally like I did in front of you or like I did it when the first time I read this passage. So you can start doing it. It's not a difficult process. All you have to do is solve multiple RCs using the same method and think through what will go in your head when you read the passage. So I hope that this video is of help to you. I have another small announcement to make. I'm going to make a video tomorrow on a free mocks announcement. There's something that I want to share with all of you that's going to be super useful. So those of you who are preparing for CAT 2021 or 2022 should definitely check out that video. It will surely be of help to you. Thanks a lot for watching this. Any comments, please put them down in the comment section. Thanks a lot.